So this is the self-development with tactics. Book. Have you ever... I fucked it up. But have you ever wondered how to actually hire right? Me neither. So this is what the episode is gonna be about. I absolutely love these fucking videos. And the fucking light just went out. Which is not that good. But hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. And I'm pretty fucking pumped as fucking always to be here. This was actually my TV because my light, my small little light that you probably will know or maybe even not. It is connected to my TV with an USB cable and whatsoever, so that it actually theoretically always has power and that it is always just hanging there in front of me so that it is actually lighting just directly into my fucking face so that I'm always just nicely bright. Always nicely bright. But I just have to figure out where the small little button is. Oh my fucking hell. Oh, it's there. I found it and I'm just way brighter than I would be without this fucking light, which is just incredible. And even just, every single screen that I'm having, just some time ago I was actually always recording with the screen on. At a time I'm always recording with me actually just in front of me, so I do just have my recording software in front of me, then the small little text besides me, and the light. And that's quite everything. And I always have my display so my main display from my laptop is always just completely bright, no matter how fucking dark it is in my room. Fortunately enough, it's never that dark that it is actually hurting somehow my eyes. Which was actually one of the things that I was quite feared about before I actually began this journey, that I would just actually fuck my eyes, with actually kind of always sitting in front of my PC quite always, which is, which I thought wouldn't be that great, but at the end it kind of turns out that it is somehow okay. Like I do not have any problems, or I just don't recognize them yet. I hope that there will never ever be problems. But as I said, we are actually going through another part of the Ray Dalio's principle summary. I think so. The probability is quite high that I'm actually gonna finish this. Either today, I think probably not. It depends on how much it actually is, because I'm sometimes kind of overestimating it somehow, that it is actually even not that much that is left. But let's see. I think I should just go on and not waste your time, or I'm never wasting my time because I like what I'm doing. I really love what I'm doing. So how to hire right? The penalties for hiring wrong are huge. Years can pass, many dollars can be spent in training and retraining. More insidious costs are loss of morale and diminishing standards. So actually, it is pretty right that having or just hiring wrong can lead to a lot of problems. I do not want to just miss it out or say like, okay, it's not that bad or whatsoever. Besides the whole fact that I've never ever hired someone. I never ever have. So, I don't know, maybe you take everything with a grain of salt that I'm talking about, because I'm clearly not just really knowledgeable in the space. The only knowledge that I'm having is the theoretical knowledge that I've gained through all the summaries that I've went through, because there were quite a lot that had at least a part of how to be a leader or how to hire or something like this in them, which is nothing bad, don't get me wrong, it really is not something bad, but I am not hiring and I'm not in the position to hire someone, and I think it's probably not going to change for the next 10 years or 5 years or maybe even more. Who knows? Who really knows? So design the machine first and then find the person. Create a clear mental image of the values, abilities and skills required for each person to do the job well. Then create a spec sheet. Abilities are ways of thinking and behaving. actually, this is very important that he's actually pointing that out, because in last episodes, he was pointing out that you shouldn't actually kind of choose whom you should actually hire by their skills. Because often it is like, okay, people won't have the proper skills, but they should have the abilities and values. These are the two things that he says are actually kind of important if you're hiring someone. And which is totally okay. Like, I do got it. I really got it that skills do not have to be the most important thing. The problem that I was having is that I didn't know what he meant by abilities and also values. But there you can see, abilities are ways of thinking and behaving. For example, fast learners, higher level visionaries, and are unlikely to change much. And this now actually makes sense that he's pointing out, okay, you should look for people with the right abilities, because these will always be there. Like, if this is actually a person that is learning fast, that likes to learn, that, just, values are just maybe like to learn. But ability is definitely, if you can learn fast, if you can do this and that, it is pretty hard to somehow kind of differ between what is a skill and what actually is an ability. But yeah, so you should totally look for abilities like high-level visionaries and or fast learners. Skills are learned tools and can be acquired in finite time. Infinite time. Not infinite time, like not just, kind of like just like not infinite time, but in space, finite time. Really trying to kind of communicate everything rightly is pretty important. And I've been speaking about just, communication for quite a lot of times, I would say, because it is important to actually sometimes even over communicate what you're meaning to actually kind of get the point across accurately, so that the other people and or the other party is not receiving it wrongly, even though sometimes the party will totally receive it wrongly, because because it's their thinking, it's because they receive it like this because it is them. It doesn't always have to be about you, but first start with you, I guess, and then just think about other things if you have done everything that you could have done. Don't design jobs to fit people. Actually a great idea, because like if you would be doing this, you would basically kind of synthesize work. You would just create work where there is no work. And I totally think like this wouldn't be the best thing, because if you don't have just if you don't just have work, you don't need people. And if you do just have to create work to get people in, I don't know if this is a proper economical thinking you're having there. I think it just won't be good for your company to have too much people. Like, for sure, it's a way to scale and it's a way to grow and whatsoever, but having too much people and way too less work, I guess isn't good. Yeah, it's not good. I guess, at least, because as I said, I'm not a leader. I'm not in a position where I'm actually kind of leading a company. I'm not leading any people. And I don't even know if I'm actually a leader or not. But I will see in my life what's coming up, and I will totally share it with you. As long as I'm doing the podcast, I will totally share, a lot of insights that I'm finding are valuable, and that I'm finding that are that can actually help somebody out there, because it is important and I want to help. I really, truly want to help. But yeah, it is a common mistake to focus on what should be done rather than who should be responsible for determining what should be done. Yeah, makes sense. And it really is the case that most often, also me, I'm thinking about what I do have to do or what people do have to do, and not who actually should be responsible for determining what actually should be done. Systematize systemize. I think it's actually systemize. Systemize the process. Think through what questions are asked and how the different answers differentiate the different candidates. Actually makes sense, even though, this would actually make it a little bit kind of just boring, I guess, for the person who's actually interviewing somebody. If it's always the exact same questions and it just only kind of comes up to what answer he gets. It still makes sense. It's a very, very good system that he's pointing out there. But, I'm just really feeling with the person who is just, interviewing the potential candidate. So save the answers to learn about how indicative they are of subsequent behaviors. For intuitive judgments, capture data to measure the track records later. Consider using personality assessments. Remember, people pick people like themselves, so assemble interviewers who embody the qualities and abilities you are hiring for, aka are believable. This just totally makes sense. And this is also good for all the people who are actually having a job interview in the near future that might actually be listening to me. I don't know, maybe in the future. And it totally makes sense that you would actually copy the other person's body language, because if people are really, and they are looking forward to, or they are looking for people that are actually like them, or let's put it like this, people actually like people that are like them. And even though a lot of people talk about the opposite, they just attract each other and whatsoever, I don't know, like, it is the case sometimes as well. It really is. But I would say, and because of what I've read, because I've also maybe what I've experienced, quite often people will choose other people in relationships, in any kind of different relationships. Like, it doesn't have to be a love relationship, and it doesn't actually have to be a professional relationship either. Maybe something in between, maybe something completely different, I don't know. But people in generally somehow like to have people like them besides them. I don't know. I really don't know why. And maybe we're also narcissistic, whatever. You probably know what I mean. So it actually would make sense that if you're in a job interview, that you actually copy the other person's body language. Not all the time. This is something that will just be obvious and will just fuck with the other person or with the interviewer. And it wouldn't just be great. It would just not be a good idea. But if you do it frequently or sometimes, but not all the fucking time, so just, in such a high amount that it is not getting obvious, I would say. It's just a pretty thin path that you're on if you're actually doing this like this. But yeah, this is what it is, and this is what I actually think about. Look for extraordinary people. Consider their background to see if they have demonstrated themselves to be extraordinary in some way. Whether it be their nutrition, that they are very, very strict with their nutrition. Maybe it will be about sports, that they are just frequently doing sports, even though for sure not everybody wants to do it like all the fucking time. Like, they are totally athletes, I guess, that are just, they do not want to do the sport all the time. Like, they love it and they like it and whatsoever, but on certain days they just don't feel like this. And, some people will push through and some people won't. And I think these who push through are actually extraordinary, and who are actually having such a schedule that they are kind of just strict with something. But yeah, I think, and I truly know that you know what they are talking about. So if you're not excited, don't hire. This is actually something I unfortunately, as quite always, do not know where it is from, but one guy, I think it was a guy, I really think, and I think he actually pointed it out in a book, and I was doing a book summary on that, or I've just, kind of was talking about the book summary as just like now, probably, and he was pointing out, like, there should only be, either hell yeah and or completely not. And this is when you should decide what to do. Like, if it is not hell yeah, I'm gonna do that, then it is probably like you should not do it. And I found it pretty interesting, and it totally makes sense, because if it is really not something that you're so passionate about or so kind of curious about or so happy about, maybe you shouldn't do it. But I don't know, like just some ideas that I had, just some thoughts that I had. I'm just really trying to kind of give everything to you, and or to just, you know, to all the people who are listening to this and or watching this, that might help them. Or yeah, I'm just spreading what I think of, basically. Delio likes people who ask great questions, as Bezos, if I remember correctly, also does. You know, he says that the questions you ask are probably more important than the answers that you get. So just, you know, the questions that you ask are very important. So you should focus on them. Warnings: talk to believable references who can give you a clear picture of the path. People are prone to exaggerating accomplishments. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Success in school is a limited gauge. A gauge of memory and processing speed, determination to succeed, willingness to follow directions. It does not assess common sense, vision, and creativity. Well, in my point of view, or in my case actually, it totally has to involve creativity, because I'm on a creative school, but I totally get what they are saying. Common sense, I don't know. I wouldn't actually say that you don't need common sense in school. I think the problem is you don't need it. But people who are actually working efficient, which might then actually be the people who are extraordinary in some kind, quote unquote, but still you can use it. Like, you know, you somehow don't need it, because you can basically just learn everything. Like, I don't know, you can just learn everything, or you just still learn things and still use your common sense, you know, because to maybe just, you know, kind of not waste, you know, all the fucking time you're having for learning, and or to actually kind of do the 80-20 principle, like learning 80% of the whole things and then adding the 20% through common sense. And, you know, sometimes there are totally subjects that aren't that difficult and where you can actually use your common sense pretty heavily, I would say. So beware impractical idealists who don't execute practical plans that precede results. Actually, yeah. Tactics. Put a rookie next to a proven star and see how well she holds up. Show candidates your warts. What actually is a wart? A wart: growth, lump, swelling, protuberance, carbuncle, boil, blister, and so on. Put them in situations showing the most difficult aspects of your principles. Compensate to provide both stability and opportunity. Make people earn their worth and not just accept it for security. Pay north of fair. Delio thinks the best negotiations are those in which both parties argue that the other should take more. Yeah, I think it just, you know, says a lot about the person. Like, it really says a lot if you're having an employee and you're negotiating with them and with him or her, and he or she says like, okay, you know, I don't want to get more money. I think you should have more than I'm having, because you're doing a great job or whatever it will be. I think if you're actually having such an employee, it totally shows a lot. It really shows a lot. And this once again just shows me and also you that it will always come up to actually you being able to work with people. You know, I guess, and I somehow feel like, and yeah, I always have to kind of brush through my hair so that they're not in my fucking face. No, but I really see now, and this is actually something that I've been thinking about quite heavily recently, I would say, that you should actually, and you just have to be able to work with people, deal with people, and whatsoever. It is truly important. And I think it always has been truly important, because at the end, you're always working with people. Like, there's no way around it. For some industries and for some jobs, it might actually be the truth. Like, but it is pretty hard for me actually to think of one, because at least your boss and or your co-workers are all people. And if you can't deal with them, if you can't just, somehow, I don't know, if you do not have the proper kindness, if you do not have any fucking empathy, if you do not have anything of these things that actually let you be social, that let you be kind of able to work and deal and cope with people, I guess you're gonna have a hard time, because it will always come up to just working with people, whether they are your clients, whether they're actually your boss, whether they are your co-workers and or your mother, your father, whatsoever. Being able to work properly with people and or deal and cope with people properly is, I think, something that some people totally have. Some people just have this kind of empathy, this kind of willingness to help others, that willingness to kind of be just the protective person or something. I really think some people have it, like everything. Like, some people are good at basketball because they were born like this. Some people are not, and some people just have to work to be in the NBA. Some people just have the talent. And I think it's quite the same thing for a lot of things. Yeah, for sure, but I think you just have to be able to work with people and deal with people. And this was actually also one of the things that Dale Carnegie in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, was pointing out, that it is actually 20% your skills and 80% how you can deal with people. Because you will always end up working with people. Always. And if I just, oh, by the way, I'm sorry. If there actually is a job, or if there actually is a way that where you actually do not have in any kind of form deal with people, please point it out. Please just put it down in the description, not in the description, but into the comment section, or just please hit me up. You can totally hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, or Tumblr, or Quora, whatever you want. Please hit me up. It would be just very interesting for me, and I think it would also just give a lot of value to the people around there. How to train, evaluate, and sort people. The main thing. The first one is remember the goal. So the goal of the company, I assume, and the goal that you are having. And this should be the thing that you should, train the people for, like for actually achieving the goal, or actually kind of getting to the goal, I guess. So give the goal to people who can achieve it, or worse, tell them what to do. Hold them accountable. The fourth one is, if they fail, train them and give them time. The fifth thing is, if they can't do the job after this, switch them to a different job that matches their strengths and get rid of them. Or get rid of them. Even though, it just really sounds so inhuman and so fucking just asshole-ish somehow, that you're being like, okay, get rid of them. But maybe it is even also better for them. But actually, and I'm gonna say it again, what I've been saying yesterday, I guess, and this is totally also what Gary Vee is doing, and this is why I'm pointing it out. If you're a boss and if you're firing someone, I think that you should probably care about the person and really get them another job. In certain countries, in certain industries, I think it's gotten pretty important and or pretty difficult to actually get a job. And if you fire somebody because of some reasons, like, this person is not fitting your company, so explicitly your company, I guess it would just be nice if you just kind of, if you're able to kind of give them a new job in a new company of a friend of yours or something like this, and or just help them, maybe even financially. I don't fucking know. But I think it would just be right, and I guess it is often about what is right and what is easy. It totally is easy to just get rid of them and just throw them out, fire them, whatsoever. But I think it's totally right that you kind of caring about them somehow, even though maybe it just always comes up to the person. If this person was just really bad to you as well, I really hate revenge. I do not really want to say that you should kind of use the revenge and whatsoever kind of thing. I totally hate it. I also can understand it, but I also can't understand it. So I'm just not a kind of revenge person, I would say. But yeah, let's actually move on. So it takes 6 to 12 months to know an employee generally. This should be an iterative process with new assignments tailored to them. Best to have at least 2 believable trainers triangulate their view on a trainee. Actually great, like, if you do have 2 opinions and or 3 opinions with your own opinion, I guess it's always quite great, because you can actually say, like, if this is a good person, quote unquote, for the job, or if this person is not good at what he or she is doing. Make sure incentives align with responsibilities, and they experience the consequences of the outcomes. Resist micromanagement. Don't tell people what they should do. It reflects inability. Train and test and explore how they are doing and why. This really just gets into understanding your people, understanding your employees. And I kind of feel like that a lot of people are not doing that. I really kind of feel that. I don't know for sure on a human basis, we all try to understand each other. We all maybe also disagree with each other sometimes, and therefore try to understand each other. But, in such a way that you actually try to understand the people, that you're actually able to just get them the proper position in your company, is something that maybe a lot of people do, but maybe not consciously. For sure they're gonna be like, okay, if this person is not good at this certain position, maybe I just should change it up. It is common sense. It fucking makes sense. But I think that not a lot of people are thinking about it so fucking consciously, and with such a process behind it, and with such an kind of strategy behind it even. The ultimate responsible party is the person who bears the consequences of failure. It is your responsibility to pick the right doctor, since you bear the responsibility if she does a bad job. Evaluation. Make a clear contract, quote unquote, on what the expectation of work is. Without this, you can't hold people accountable for it not being fulfilled. Review goals, tasks, and responsibilities at least once a quarter. Actually, I think it's good, and I think it totally just plays into over-communicating and over-communication. And you always fucking communicate what you actually want, that there's no fucking way that people will actually understand it wrongly, or that people won't do what you wanted them to do because they somehow didn't get it. They didn't know it. They haven't read the contract properly whatsoever. I think it's just a good idea, and I think it makes the life of yours and the life of the other people also easier to some degree, of course. Evaluate employees with the same rigor as you do job candidates. Don't be easy on people just because they are not outsiders. Yeah. Hold people to the same standards and provide feedback consistent with the standards. Don't spread the blame, and don't hold a stronger performer to a higher standard. So hold people to the same standards and provide feedback consistent with the standards. Don't spread the blame. Don't hold the stronger performer to a higher standard. Even though it somehow would make sense. If it is a stronger performer, why don't have a higher standard? Maybe to challenge them. Maybe I think all these rules do just have some space for actually regulating it on yourself or for yourself to some degree. Like, there is always a little tiny bit of space where you can actually do this, but also with the whole kind of responsibility thing, I think in the end it is just your responsibility, because you have employed the person, you have kind of had the interview and whatsoever, or you have actually employed the person who had been doing the interview with the person. Like, in the end, it is always your responsibility as a leader, and there is no one to be blamed but you. Maybe this is even the thing that he talks about by saying, don't spread the blame. But make your metrics clear-cut and impartial. Or impartial. Even better, tie the metrics formulaically to predetermined consequences like bonuses. Define the most critical metrics and have discipline in checking them. Be precise about attributing specific results to specific people's actions. Everyone thinks what they're doing is more important than it really is. Tally up everyone's beliefs on their percent of contribution to the organization, and you will end up with well over 100%. Bridgewater was 300%. It actually is like always the case. A lot of people think like, what they're doing is probably so enormously valuable and whatsoever. In the end, not that much. Some people are actually accurate. You shouldn't totally put everyone into the same basket. Don't be overconfident about your assessment. Triangulate with other believable people. Get in sync with the person you're giving feedback to. Take data points over time to notice patterns and judge people based on both reasoning and outcomes. Since often outcomes are out of their control, pay more attention to the swing than the shot. Actually, great analogy or metaphor. Figure out if failures are due to design problems, for example, too many responsibilities, inabilities, or inadequate training. Don't confuse lack of skills for lack of abilities. You will risk wasting time training them. Check behavior and deter bad behavior. More people than you think will cheat if given the opportunity. Investigate and explain to people so there are no surprises. This shouldn't be taken personally, just as a bank tellers shouldn't decry banks counting money in drawers. Auditors' procedures should not be known to those being audited. Find ways to audit the auditors to avoid rubber stamping. Find ways to audit the auditors to avoid rubber stamping and use public hangings to deter rule violations. Actually, I'm sorry that I've actually gone through this just so rapidly. I quite haven't understood anything on my own. I do hope that you have, whether you're on the podcast or you're actually on the video. I do hope that you have got something from it. There's actually, there is something left. I think we've gone pretty far with this one. I really think that we both have done a pretty great job. So yeah. I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. This is actually the end of the episode. I've pretty much enjoyed it. I hope, up to the last few minutes where I've actually tried to kind of, go through the rest of what was left, because I do not want to have certain things in another episode. Because I kind of feel like, I do not want people have to actually watch certain parts of another video only just to get the whole context and whatsoever. And I'm also not always able to give the context, which is always also somehow a problem. But yeah, this was actually the end of the episode. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And I do hope that you're gonna remind yourself on how you gonna be remembered. So basically how your legacy is gonna be like, if you're gonna be remembered as a good person or actually as a bad person. Because I guess it is important. Or do you want to be kind of remembered as a bad person, someone that was not great to be around with? I really guess not, and it is totally in your hands. You choose and you kind of change. If you do not enjoy who you are, then you can change. And with that being said, I thank you very, very much for watching, and I see you the next time.